Wanted to spend a few minutes and talk about some of the things that's important to United Way. Obviously, this is under the context of our Charitable Giving Act that we're trying to get through Congress, and we appreciate you guys reaching out to us. Let's make it personal at first. What is something in your life, Suzanne, that you would say this is why personal charitable giving is important?
Well, I think one of the most impactful stories that stays with me is about 2 years ago, I was visiting what we call a family resource center in a challenged neighborhood in the Tampa Bay area, and I met a woman. Her name was Miss Pat, and I was actually going to have lunch with her and her son.
Yeah.
But the part of the story that really resonated with me is she told me that about 25 years ago, she was a foster mom. She was hardworking in a really challenged neighborhood, and she adopted 2 twin girls and came from challenged circumstances.
Wow.
And she went on, and they became the poster children for
Right.
the United Way campaign that year.
Really?
And the wonderful thing about the story was she told me about how they got engaged in some really great early childhood development care that was supported by United Way. Over their lifetime, they got supported by the YMCA, by the Boys and Girls Club. That, coupled with support from her church, she said, made all the difference in the lives of these 2 girls who, she shared with me that day, had just recently graduated from Howard University.
Oh my goodness gracious.
And were coming back to live in their community. So it was the first time, like we see when we help people, but to hear the whole continuum of what that help can do for them,
No question.
it's just one of my favorite stories about the power of how we come together to help families and children.
That's a great story, and sometimes there's a misnomer when it comes to charitable giving that only people of high success or means are the ones involved. But I don't know if your numbers show that. Let's ask this. What does your numbers show as far as people who give back to their communities?
Well, there have been studies that show that those who come from lower incomes are actually more generous on a per capita basis. And I can tell you, just even when I talked with Miss Pat, she, even while she was of not high means at all, she worked really hard to give back to her community. And I think that's the spirit that we want to bring back, is to recognize that, everyone wants to give. Let's make it easier for people to support the communities they care
nice
about.
toss. That's exactly what we're trying to do with the Universal Charitable Giving Act, is to make sure that people who maybe are from lower or even middle income families have a chance to be able to give back and still use that as a deduction. Now, people give certainly from the basis of their heart, but let's not put any roadblocks to continue to help these churches, nonprofits, charitable organizations who are doing such great work. In fact, one can make the case they're doing better work than the government on many cases there. As you look out to the future and you see where United Way or other organizations, what's the goal here as far as the impact that you want to make on communities?
Well, I think if I could just comment on that, what you just said
Sure.
is the majority of donors who give to United Ways and to the majority of charities come from a lower income. And so our average gift throughout our United Way network is about $1 a day. And that revenue is fueling the power of these smaller charities and churches. And if we don't, and as you said, if we put up barriers, that's going to impact their ability to do some of the most important work.
I think so.
And for us, our vision is very grassroots. And, we see the power of local communities at that local level. You have to bring people together. You have to support locally. And if we put up, inhibitors, communities are going to fail, and we don't want that.
No, we don't, and I agree with your assessment there. In this holiday season that we're approaching, I think this is a really good time to talk about some of this, because obviously there's a lot of rhetoric, there's a lot of politics right now going on, and I think this is such an important way to bring communities together, whatever political ideology that you may have, because as a pastor for 16 years in my former life, if you will, the self-worth that comes from being able to give back to your community, small ways, medium ways, large ways, whatever you're able to faithfully do. I have literally seen people get more joy out of doing that than pretty much anything else. Is that something that you guys have seen in United Way?
We absolutely believe that. It's not just about being able to give, it's being able to feel connected to something larger than yourself.
Sure.
And so it's the donations are really important, but that's also it's often a step to deeper civic engagement. And that's what our mission is. It's to mobilize the caring power of communities in all forms of that caring.
Well, I think people recognize the name United Way with such high, lofty goals there. I think you're accomplishing those goals. And we thank you, Suzanne McCormick, the president of United Way, for coming all the way into Washington, D.C., making your presence known that this is something that's very important not about politics. It's about impacting communities. We hear lots of times people making an argument. This is a way that people can truly make a difference. And I'm glad to have your support, and we hope to continue to work with you in the future.
Thank you, and we appreciate your leadership.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you.